me, I was really excited to use your podium, but I don't want to be the only one.
Well,
I'm kind of short.
Greg Schatz built it. I'm sure he'd love it if you used it, but that's okay.
You know what? I'm the last one. I'm going to use the podium. Just going to move it forward a little bit. I want to start by thanking you all so much. I really want to thank Glacier Guides and Montana Raft Company for even having this event and recognizing how important our wildlife rivers are. You guys didn't have to do it, and you did, that just speaks volumes about how much you recognize the importance of our rivers and keeping them clean and keeping them protected. So thank you very much for this. And I'm just going to share a little story of my own as well, and just try to inspire you a little bit to hopefully take some action today and in the future for rivers. So I experienced my first multi-day float trip on the North Fork Flathead about 5 years ago, and it really changed my life forever. At that time, I did not know that overnight camping and floating was even something people did. And it quickly became my favorite way to recreate and experience the landscape. Even though I'd always loved rivers and had been on rivers for years, it took that love to a completely new level. You know, weaving through a wild landscape by rivers, sort of like flowing through the human body in a vein. You experience the interconnectedness of all life and the essence of its change and movement. Since then, I've shared the North Fork with my sister, other family, my best friends, colleagues that have never seen it before, and everyone walks away from that experience in complete awe. So I started working for American Rivers shortly thereafter and have been given the opportunity to conduct outreach to folks from across Montana and hear what you love about rivers and why you want to see them protected. After all, American Rivers' mission is to protect wild rivers, to restore damaged rivers, and to conserve clean water for people and nature. So the protection of wild rivers has always been core to the backbone of our organization. It was the cornerstone of our forming when we were just a ragged group of river runners from the West. And since that time, our advocacy has spread across the United States, but it still remains strong here in Montana at the headwaters of the nation and the birthplace of the Wild and Scenic Rivers Act. So you've heard from a lot of folks today who have spent their careers getting to know this place, that know it really, really well, the Three Forks of the Flathead. They have intimate knowledge of the system, but you don't need to know it all to have a connection and a desire to see it stay that way, the way it is today. You all have that ability, and I encourage you to be an active voice for not just these rivers, but any river you love and call home. One thing about Montana that not a lot of people know is that while it has over 177,000 miles of streams, creeks, and rivers, only 368 miles of those rivers are protected forever as free-flowing under the Wild and Scenic Rivers Act. That's less than 1/4 of 1% of our state's rivers. And the same can be said for the national system as well. It's 1/4 of 1% of our nation's rivers are protected under the Act. So here in Montana, we have the Three Forks of the Flathead, and we have 150 miles of the Upper Missouri. And they were all protected in 1968. That was 42 years ago. And it was only 8 years after the Act was passed, which is why our organization, along with several other partners, including American Whitewater, who's also with me today. Hi, Jim. That's Jim Hepburn with American Whitewater. He's a part of our coalition too, Montana's for Healthy Rivers. And we are asking for your help in voicing support for more river protection here in Montana. We encourage you to come back to our table and sign our petition for new legislation that would put about 50 new streams, creeks, and rivers on the map. And this would double our state's wild and scenic mileage, but it would also put us on par with our neighbors in Idaho and Wyoming, who we are really far behind in terms of rivers protected. Also, the recently completed Flathead National Forest Plan identified additional wild and scenic eligible rivers, which are mostly tributaries to our existing wild and scenic rivers, and these are consistent with the proposed legislation that we're advocating to our congressional delegation. And as you probably have also learned, and I know Coulter back there talking about the recent comprehensive river management planning effort that just started, and it'll be going on for the next few years, I really encourage everyone here to take those opportunities to come out, voice your concerns, your wishes, your suggestions for the Flathead that you care about. It's really our duty as citizens to engage in those processes and to be active voices for the places that we love. And finally, in addition to these local efforts, we encourage you to participate in our national 5,000 Miles of Wild campaign. We're running in partnership also with American Whitewater and other corporate sponsors. And through our story collections, we're attempting to emphasize to our elected leadership that rivers are important to their constituents and vital to the health and well-being of our society. So we encourage you to share your river story with us today, or go to 5000milesofwild.org and share your story. I have information in the back too about how you can do that. So as President Lyndon B. Johnson said on October 2nd, 1968, when he signed the Wild and Scenic Rivers Act, every individual and every family should get to know at least one river. So we encourage you to develop that connection with your local river or one you visit this summer, and please tell us about it. By sharing your river story with others, that experience lives on past our time, and it becomes a part of the fabric of society. So, my story of the North Fork Flathead will only become richer this summer. My partner and I are going to get married on the North Fork here in a couple weeks. Yeah! We're going to cart our closest family and friends from all over the country down the river in rafts, with the sound of the river as our background noise, and the Livingston Range as our backdrop. And I couldn't think of a better place to express my forever love to my partner than along the shores of a place that opened my eyes to the freedom and beauty that can only be found on a wild and scenic river. So, raise our glasses. Oh, I need another beer. Well, 10. Happy 50th birthday to the Wild and Scenic Rivers here. Yeah! And here is to another 50 years of strong river protection.